Welcome to the Apex Sunday podcast, hosted by myself, Robert Ross, and John Dowsett. And today we're talking about the MotoGP Italian Grand Prix of 2025. Usually one of my favorite races. Wasn't too bad this year, but not one of the greatest. And John, start with qualifying. Marquez gets his 100th pole. Now this is across all categories because that's how championship motorcycle racing works. They count, Moto 3, Moto 2, MotoGP. He's got 162 front row starts in his career, so that's pretty amazing. 100 poles. That tells a story, doesn't it?
It's crazy, but it doesn't really count because you just told me it's like all of the different categories. So they probably took it back to when he was a kid and he was racing the 75cc monsters. But yeah,
they're back to 125 and then to Moto 2 and then through MotoGP. So across all categories he gets that, but Fabio Quatararo again taking that Yamaha on this kind of circuit with the high power in the engine. Just again, amazing. And the super close between the top three, 6 100s and 8 100s from the top three. So very close qualifying session. And again, we see this track variance where the Hondas were nowhere because they have no engine power and no ability to get out of corners quickly. And now the KTMs have a lot of engine power and they were midfield. So we're seeing this difference again, shows up in qualifying. But for me, the highlight of qualifying was how close it was. And Marc getting a pole position on a circuit that's, quote, not one of his best because he's only won once in the past. So it reminds me of back in the day when Renault was in Formula One and they were winning with Williams all the time. And the story became, not when they were winning, but when they lost. It'd be like, oh my God, they lost. So here with Marc, it's the same thing. Like, can you get pole? Like, oh my God, he got pole. It's amazing. But he's been on the front row before. So
phenomenal coverage of it as well. That was very good. And you could see how squirrely the bikes were. And I that just knocks me on my tail when I think about getting squirrely at that kind of speed. That must be very frightening.
Yeah, that's why they can crash so easily, I think, too, right? Like, just the bike is on the edge all the time. Like when you were racing your car, was it on the edge all the time, or were there times where you could roll it back, or did it depend on the competition?
No, I mean, I only did sprint races. I didn't do any long races. The longest race I did was probably 40 minutes. And so, no, you're just as fast and as consistent as you can go. And then the good part about that is, you learn very quickly that after about 4 or 5 laps of the race, everything kind of settles in, and then you can sort of get in a rhythm. Doesn't seem so much in this racing. It's just crazy stuff going. There's a lot of contact at this event too, wasn't there?
Yeah, and you're seeing like the squirreliness, like the bikes just rotating and jumping out on the riders and so forth, and keeping it in. And it was even more squirrely back in the day before they had wings and so forth. So anyways, great qualifying. We'll move on to the sprint. We had that strange start from Marc where he wasn't quite sure if his starting device was on, and he got to that start, fell back, but was quickly back amongst the
he
top
came back
quickly.
So fast.
Yeah,
I still don't know what was it that he was adjusting, because I mean he definitely had the launch mode on, because he was bike was squatted
Yeah,
down? Maybe he was just double
I
checking it.
guess there's the lowering device, but then there's the starting device.
Oh, okay.
So it was the starting device that he was slightly off. Uh, that he couldn't see the message or didn't see the message on the dashboard and thought it was on or off. I can't remember. And
And
anyways,
and when you see the replay, you can hear the other bikes winding up and him, you know, what is it, maybe half a second to a second behind, he's winding up. So you knew that he was going to be, you know, falling back through the field. What shocked me was how fast he came back. I looked at it and he was going into corner one, and before he hit corner one, he passed like three bikes. And it's just
yeah, his awareness like of everything that's going on and where you can go to pass s- effectively without barging into everyone is quite incredible. I mean, it reminds me of back in Moto 2 when he started uh, one race. He got penalized for something. He did crash into someone in qualifying, got sent to the back. And on the first lap, he passed like 20 bikes from the back. I mean, this is back in Moto 2 when the level is less across the board, but
right.
still, when you're doing that, that shows like you get this guy into MotoGP as soon as possible. That's where he belongs. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was just really quick, like fall back and then asserting himself so quickly and getting back to the front relatively quickly, very patient again.
Hmm.
Vinales moves up, but he did not get enough to get to Pecco. So the KTM's, were quick, but just short of the Ducatis. And we saw Fabio Quatararo again fall back because of tires in the sprint. Um, but again, Pecco third place, Marc and Alex first and second. So pretty much the same
Yeah.
story in almost every sprint this year, isn't
But
it?
Agura back. I was thrilled with that. Coming back with a broken leg
Yeah,
and qualified very well. And
and I think he finished in the
he
points
did.
too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's nice to see I back because he's definitely got some talent and some ability. So with his Jorge Martin situation, maybe we'll see him on at the factory of Aprilia next season. Who knows? With Toprak coming to Pramac Yamaha, it's either Miguel or Jack who will leave. So we'll see what's going on with that when that comes up. But overall, the sprint pretty entertaining. What did you think of the
It was
sprint
great. It was
overall?
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
And quick. I mean, those are the races that I like. I like yeah. Yeah. So
they were the quick ones, right?
good dicing and everybody's going full tilt. There's no, I mean, sure they need to manage their tires, but not as much as they do
In the
in the
race,
race. Yeah.
yeah. So for the race, great first laps. Like it was the battle between Pecco, Marc, and Alex
Yeah.
was just incredible. And as we saw some contact like side to side, and then Pecco barging into Marc a little bit with that.
Good for him.
I'm not sure what happened. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of battling I like. It was 6 to 7 laps, but then we saw Pecco. He lost the front end coming around the last corner,
Hmm.
and then he gets passed by Marc and Alex, and eventually he just starts falling back. And then apparently he just used up his tire
Yeah. He just
swings
gave up.
in that battle. Yeah,
But
eventually gets passed
in those battles,
by Fabio
in
too.
those battles, there were some great gap fills where you see the guys take off and you think, okay, well there they go, they're gone. I mean, you can't fill that kind
Yeah,
of a gap, and then whammo, next thing you know,
mm,
they do it. So yeah, it was
mm.
good.
Yeah, and the dicing was really good too.
Hmm.
The narrow passing and so forth, and so forth. Just incredible. We had that Binder Acosta battle down down the field a little bit. And uh, Vigia taking third from Pecco. And Pecco was very disappointed again. And Vigia is on the same bike as him. And again, Pecco blamed it on his tires and the front end as well. So his problems are consistent. And he did say, if I can't do well at Italy, I've got a problem for the entire season. But if we look at the standings, we got Marc at front at 270 points, Alex second at 230, so it's 40 back, and Pecco at 160. That's 110 back from Marc and 70 back from Alex. So Pecco's done for this year. Even if he starts winning races and stuff, I doubt he can even get second. So
no, you never know. You never know. I mean, the way Marc rides, he could finish his season at the next race. Look at Martin, right?
Yeah, there is that factor.
I mean, where is he? Is he coming back?
Yeah. He's training now, so he will be back at one point during the season. How that goes with Aprilia. And, it was interesting when we talked about Toprak coming into MotoGP from super bikes and having to adapt to the bike. Last season, Andrea Iannone came from Superbike to fill in. I can't remember for who on a Ducati, and he was a former MotoGP rider and Moto2 rider, and a MotoGP winner as well. And he said that after 6 or 7 laps, he was destroyed physically. So these are very difficult bikes to ride physically, and much more difficult than Superbike. So coming back from injury, like with eye and so forth, when Martin comes back, fit to ride doesn't mean you're fit to battle properly, right? So he's going to have to build himself up again. So yeah, his entire year is pretty much a write-off, I would say, when he does come back. And then maybe he's going to leave Aprilia. So,
well, I don't know. I don't know. How they can let this guy just pop in and pop out. Right? Yeah.
All right. So Alex is being criticized for not battling Marc hard. The implication being that because he's his brother,
he's scared of him.
He lets him off. Yeah. But again, looking at those points, I mean, Alex is way ahead of everyone except Marc. And Marc is Marc. I mean, he's ahead of everyone. Like, why? It's no different. Just because Alex is his brother doesn't mean that he should be treated any differently. Like, look how far back Pecco is. Look how far back.
I don't think that you can criticize him for that, because I don't agree with that. I think he's fighting very hard. He's got a different style of riding. He's not the bull in a china shop that Marc is, that I'm just going in. And you know what? He's 40 points behind. 40 points. Yeah. Anything can happen. 40 points isn't a lot.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing. Like, when you can't win, you still need to score as many points as possible.
Exactly.
And that's what he's doing. So, and you can't criticize someone for losing to Marc, because everyone's lost to Marc. I mean, the guy's a multiple world champion, and we can see how good he is. So I think Alex is doing a wonderful job this season. And so going back to this event, I'm going to give the entire event an 8. Wasn't a battle through the entire race, but still an interesting race and sprint. And the rider, I'm going to give it to Alex. Just always there. So is Marc, of course. But Alex did the best he could and got the most he could out of the race. And that's all you can ask of yourself when you're a racer, as far as I'm concerned. So, and when you're up against arguably the best rider right now, and arguably the best rider we've seen so far in history, what can you say, right? So, what about you? What do you give this race and
I give it a 9.
for the event and the
I
rider?
give it a 9.
A 9?
There was just so much wonderful dicing, and it was tight, and it wasn't predictable. You know, coming in,
Right.
really, who was going to win the race? There were, you know, 3 possible, maybe even 4 possible winners of that race. I have to give it to Quatararo for keeping on it. I mean, he doesn't have the machinery, but man, he got more out of that machinery than was there.
Yes.
And you've got to know that the top 2 could relax and not eat up their tires, and he didn't have that choice. So for him to perform the way he did, so probably definitely he's the rider for me. Right, very impressive.
And he's putting pressure on Yamaha, saying, "I need a winning project." So maybe his patience is running out.
On top of that, if you're pushing a machine to the limit, clearly he's doing that lap after lap after lap, and not going off. That's a phenomenal rider.
It's exhausting, though, right?
Oh yeah,
mentally and physically.
I can't imagine physically. I mean, because I've never done that sort of thing. Mentally, I don't think that's a problem. You know, you get in a zone and you're there. You're going to be messed up when you come off the track. I don't know how these guys can get off their bikes and talk to people. Like, you know, seriously, like they get off their bikes and they're just yammering away like nothing's happened. It's an intense process. Being focused every nanosecond for that whole time.
And you got to be full of adrenaline too, right? So
yes,
the whole thing. So statistically, Marc gets his 93rd win, so it matches his number. He has 67 wins in the top class, so one more, and he ties Agostini for the second of all time of wins in MotoGP at the top. And then Rossi is at 89. So Marc could probably get that. I don't think Marc's going to stay in the sport as long as Rossi. Rossi stayed for like 25 or 26 years, something like that. Marc's always said that once he feels he can't win the championship, he can't win anymore, that's when he'll quit. So he's obviously still able to. It's early in the season, but I'd be shocked if he lost the championship this season and didn't go on to win at least one more in the next few seasons, if not more. Next up is the Dutch TT Assen Classic Circuit as well. So looking forward to that. And we'll talk about that soon then, John.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be a good race.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Take care.